Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Generational Turnaround Podcast, where we seek the truth and then we bring you the proof. And I bring you the proof to these wonderful speakers. Now, we celebrating right now Generational Turnaround Summit. And these two ladies, these beautiful ladies, are two of the speakers that you are going to meet when it comes to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And if you don't, you'd have missed a lot. But come up to Gulfport, Mississippi, where you're going to meet. This is 3 of 16, 17, counting myself, speakers that's going to be there. They're going to be telling you the truth about what's going on with our young and some of our oldest who don't want to admit that the problem isn't all about the young people. Somebody dropped the ball. Okay, that's just true. And I don't say which generation it was, but if you know that you did at some point, it's not too late. We can get our young people back. We can get us back in alignment. And so I want to introduce you first to Dr. Tracy Cameron, and she is a returning guest, but she's going to be a speaker at the GT Summit. And next, we have Trellis A. Thomas, who also is, well, she was on here not too long ago. Y'all was watching. Y'all know what we were talking about. And it's like a two for her, okay? So I'm going to read just a little bit about my special guest. Let me see here. Here we go. In this episode of Generational Turnaround Podcast, we are excited to have Dr. Tracy Henshaw Cameron as one of our esteemed speakers. Dr. Cameron is the Chief Executive Officer of You Are a Jew, a 501c3 organization dedicated to enhancing the lives of women and children through wellness education. Her passion lies in ensuring that women and children understand their value and the true meaning of being a Jew. At You Are a Jew, they believe that every woman and child is a precious gem, a Jew with unique qualities and potentials. The definition of a Jew goes beyond material value. It encompasses qualities such as strength, resilience, beauty, and brilliance. Dr. Cameron will delve into this definition, shedding light on how understanding one's worth as a Jew can empower individuals to overcome challenges, embrace self-care, and thrive in their personal and professional lives. Join us. This is Dr. Cameron. Okay, Dr. Cameron. You know what?
Good evening.
You know, I thank you so much for what you do. I thank you for just caring. You don't have to. I mean, you gotta. I didn't read what all you've done. I'm just talking
No.
about what is going to happen when they come to Martin Luther King, Isaiah Frederick building to hear you talk about G and GT Summit. So will you, I already introduced yourself, so why don't you go ahead on?
Say that again, Miss Judy.
Said, won't you just go ahead from where I left off and tell who you want, what you want them to know?
Okay. Again, I'm Dr. Tracy Henshaw Cameron. I believe that Miss Judy kind of summed everything up. But in a nutshell, You Are a Jewel is about people, about purpose and people. My ultimate goal there, which was my initial reason for even starting You Are a Jewel, was to help individuals reach a level of self actualization. That is an essential thing to me. And I think it should be essential for everyone else, because if we are self actualized individuals, it means we're going to respect ourselves. We're not going to let anyone else disrespect us in any way. We're not going to allow demeaning acts, and we're not going to demean ourselves. Our young men will lift their pants up off their behinds. Our young ladies will pull the skirts down, and know that they are so beautiful on the inside and out. Our older men will be role models and examples for our young men. Our older women will not be jealous of our young women, but will actually step up and become the women they should be and be role models for them as well. To me, if we all are working on our wellnesses, You Are a Jewel emphasizes I'm a very linear person. So for me, I need to know how to get to that level of self actualization. And I know many people don't think linear like me, but and because they're more global, but I believe anyone that has a step by step approach to reaching that level, then I believe they can reach their level of self actualization. And I don't believe you should reach your level of self actualization when you're lying on your deathbed and you're going through all the things I shoulda, woulda, coulda done. Which what a lot of we have to admit, a lot of I know people who are my age have gone before me, even elders, our elders. Some of them they're in bed, and they're in hospice, and they're realizing I did not walk in my purpose. I did not live out what God has ordained me to do because I didn't know me. I didn't know me. We're so busy worried about someone else not knowing themselves. Have we stopped to smell the roses to see whether or not we know who we are? We have to admit our faults because we all have faults. We can't blame everything on the young people. We can't blame everything on the girls. We can't blame everything on the boys. For one thing, we don't even give our girls rationales because we don't know our history. One prime example is, and this is something I had to pop myself on the hand because I was just happened to be not knowing to search for it, which is where that intellectual wellness, which is one of my 7 wellnesses, comes into play. We wear these beautiful braids in our hair, all different styles. The girls wear braids, the guys wear braids, all the different. But we don't realize that those braids weren't there just for style back in the time of slavery and before. That was maps. And so we're out here styling, but they don't know they're wearing history on their head. So we have to begin, but who taught you that? So we blame the young people, but who told them? And again, I'll be 50 years old my next birthday. I found that information out on my own. So we have to begin to look at not only the young people, that generational turnaround. It's not too late to turn around until they throw dirt on top of you or they roll you in that oven for you to be cremated. That is when it is too late. Other than that, it is never too late to have a generational turnaround. I'll give you one more example and I'll let you go on, Miss Judy, because you know I'm long-winded. I came to a realization about 2 summers ago. I took my children on vacation, and my children are almost 25, 23, and 20. At the time, they were 18, 21, and 22, something like that. But anyway, I took them on, and I took them for a specific reason. We all rode together in the car, and when we got to our destination, we did that Airbnb. I got there, made breakfast, we sat at the table, and my sole purpose was to find out from my children, open and honestly, without me getting upset with them, tell me, how did you feel as a child? Tell me some things that I did good in raising you and some things that I did not. I will be honest with both of you ladies. I cried because there were some things I did a really good job and I let them speak. That's another thing. We can't get our generation to turn around because we don't understand them. I watched the business channel all the time. I was watching it this morning, watching the NASDAQ, and the guy was on there and he was talking about the CEOs that we have. You know, they're trying to get everybody to come back to work 5 days a week. But you have young people who have young children and they want purpose in life. Even the ones that you look around with their pants halfway down, they want purpose in life. There are lots of things that we taught our young people and lots of things that we were taught that are really good. But there are some things that were not good. There are some habits that we have to begin to admit that as adults, that it was not good. The CEO was saying they wanted them, and he said, so you're going to miss out on some of the best and the brightest because they choose to live in Austin, Texas, but the job is in New York. So it is something that they can do virtually. So you're going to miss out on the best and the brightest because you want to be stuck in the past. It's not coming back. Let it go. Let's embrace the future. Let's embrace who our children are. Let's find out who we are, and then maybe we can have a generational turnaround.
Okay. But you just said, Tracy, look, and I understand somewhat, but I'm going to ask you this. Whenever I say somebody dropped the ball, and that happened, and when the turnaround happened, the young people had already determined that was back in the day. I don't want to go back there. I don't want nothing from back there. And so many people are saying how bad it was. Most people are saying, our children, I don't want them to have the life I had. But did you notice that when that period that I'm speaking of was the period when things changed drastically, and no child, now they don't have to work. Now they don't have to do what we did because parents don't want their children to go through what they did. But come on, where's the line where, okay, they don't have to go through that, but they got to go through something. They got to learn something.
But Miss Judy, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I will be honest with you. Our children do go through a lot. They do. They go through things that I'm a 29-year retired educator. So our children go through things that we could never imagine. They go through and I'm not, I'm talking about children, every race, every color, every ethnicity. But the district that I worked in last was mainly an African American, 99.9% African American, and we don't know what type of situations they came from. Times where we had, listen, even if and now this is me, and this is the kind of stuff I'm saying. So we had marriages back then, right? And we had some of our I'm talking about me too. I've been, this is my third marriage. So my kids watch that. And they watch me stay in a marriage that was not good for me. Some of us watched our elders stay in marriage because it was just at that time what you did. You didn't leave, and things that were truly categorized as abusive now were abusive then. We just didn't categorize it that way. So things that kids are waking up to see, not true. That this another thing. You know, they talk about the TikTok and they talk about the oh shoot, what's the other little thing? Snapchat, all these social media platforms. We were not, even with me, I'm a lot younger than you are, Miss Judy. You're my elder. So, but even during that time, I wasn't able to reach kids in Japan and Africa and New Zealand. Our children talk to other children in other countries now. That's something totally different, and they see a different way of life. So what I'm saying is, no, is everything perfect with what our children are doing today? Absolutely not. They are not afraid of guns. They are not afraid of death. My own child, 20 years old, told me, well, Mama, we all got to die one day. Now, that can be both good and bad, because I remember a time when I used to be afraid to go in the graveyard. I'm not anymore, but that's because I'm older and realizing my mortality. So we have to look at it from both sides, glass half full, glass half empty. And we have to measure where we fit in that. When we
Right.
go and
Thank
we
you.
say, I'm not saying that we said, but when we go and we say that everything that the young people, that they have no values, that they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that, it's a lot of people my age don't work. That should. That depends on the system. Think about think about generations who have been in poverty. It didn't start with those young people. It started 3 generations back. And there's nothing wrong with public housing,
Um,
because if you got to
all
do it, you
right,
got to do
Tracy.
it.
All
But
right,
some people
Tracy.
do it
I'm
because
gonna
they
come
choose
back.
to.
I'm gonna
You
come
know?
back to you on that, Tracy. Let me introduce Trellis.
Okay.
Thank you, baby. All right, Trellis. Trellis. Our guest on the Generation of Turnaround show is Trellis, a mental health. And we might need a little mental health talk right here, right now. Health coach, clinical nurse, case manager, supervisor, ministry leader, teacher, and founder of Queen's Crown and Conversation and Crown Coaching LLC. She is a mentor, transformational coach, and advocate for women's empowerment. Trellis will be a speaker at the upcoming GT Summit in Gulfport, Mississippi on September the 6th and 7th, the same as my beautiful Tracy Cameron. Okay, we are excited to hear how she made a generation of turnaround and how she will help those that are waiting for her to come to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, because not coming with more questions. We're coming with what is known, tried and tested. Hello, Trillis.
Hello, Miss Judy. Hello, Dr. Tracy. Hello, hello. As you can see, I'm on the move.
I see.
but
That's all right. We
but
are
I stay
on
ready so I don't have
the.
to get ready.
All right,
Always
all
ready to
right.
speak
Yeah.
life and power.
Well, when you heard what Dr. Cameron was talking about, and now you talking about mental health, which coincide with what Tracy was just talking about and what's going on with our young people. That's not necessarily on them. Okay. And you're right, Tracy. A lot of people are saying it's the young people. But I agree with you that the ball was dropped way earlier than these young people are right now. So I'm gonna let you take it over, Trellis.
Well, from my vantage point, As you said, it dropped a long time ago. In order to make a generational turnaround, our children have to see evidence. And if they're seeing no evidence in your life or the lives of those who are caring for them, because education starts before you get in the classroom. The teacher is only supposed to reinforce what is happening at home. Meaning,
Absolutely.
when a child, I'll speak for my daughters. I have two daughters that are teachers. One is 37 years old, one is 30 years old. And when they were growing up, they did not go to the television or their Nintendo Switch or to TikTok or any of those things. They got a snack and they sat to the dining room table, and it was time to get that homework done. Don't come home and tell me you don't have homework, because you can read a couple chapters. I used to make up worksheets, addition, subtraction, multiplication, divisions that they would do. I kept them involved in academic summer programs. And so don't tell me you don't have anything to do, because the idle mind is the devil's workshop. Let's be clear. And so when you understand, with that wisdom, with the knowledge comes responsibility. You have to demonstrate, despite your mistakes, despite where I missed it as a mother and the mistakes that I made. I also did the same thing, Dr. Tracy. I wrote my daughters a letter, and I allowed them to express how they felt, how the mistakes that I made in raising them, how it
Mhm.
made them feel. And I took it. And so it made us closer, it made us better, because we cannot be afraid to say what is right. I think I talked about this yesterday, Miss Judy, in your room. We cannot be afraid to say what is right. We were lost, that generation, our generation, and if we're not careful and do something about it, then the generations behind us. There has been a lack of respect for our elders, for our teachers, for authority, police, and sheriffs. They're not scared of them. They're not scared. They don't respect them, because first they don't respect themselves. Again, when you're in the home, they have to see evidence of parents going to work or caregivers going to work. They have to see evidence of their caregivers, our guardians, our parents taking care of business. And so my grandparents were married 50 years, 9 months, and 2 days when my grandmother passed first. I never saw my grandparents argue. Why? Because of the respect they had for one another, the respect they had for their marriage, and the respect they had for us as their grandchildren. I don't even think my mom remembers ever seeing her parents argue. And I will be 56, July 17th. And I can't tell you one time I heard my grandparents argue, do nothing but love one another and respect one another, even if they disagreed. They took it in their bedroom, the door was closed, and we did not hear
That's right.
what they were saying. And so, in order to turn this generation around, in our generation, the generations before us and after us, we have to know who we are. That's why my big thing with my book being a best-selling author, Unapologetically Brave, the empowerment anthology I was a part of. You have to know who you are, and more importantly, whose you are, so you can recognize quickly who you are not. We are royalty. We talked about the history. I have braids. I wear braids all the time when my hair isn't naturally straight or naturally curly. God said we're royalty. Before they captured or kidnapped us and brought us over here, not only were the braids maps during the slavery time, But in certain tribes, mostly all the tribes over there in Africa, the way your braids were braided were meant you were part of a tribe, a royal tribe, not just a tribe, a royal tribe. We have to know the excellent history that we come from, because if we don't, we're going to continue to be lost. We're going to be continue not to know our value, not to know our worth, and we're going to pass that down to all generations, our children, our children's children, our children's children's children.
So, Trailer,
Because
let me stop you right there before I forget what you said. Okay, yes, we and I'll go back to someone dropped the ball, and I'll go to what you were saying. There's a lot of blame going to other generations that I think needs to stop. Okay, because if we're going to get our young people in alignment with what God has preordained, the father, the mother, the children, if we're going to align and stop but we got to stop giving the children, well, it's not y'all fault because, you know, this one, that one, and the other one, it was in the family and they didn't do right. So your DNA, you can't help it. This is what I've heard. You can't help who you are, why you are the way that you are, because but what about helping them from this point where they are now, instead of keep going back to what didn't happen, should have happened, and you can't help it.
well, let me be clear.
Yes.
We can talk about shoulda, coulda, woulda all day long, all year long, every year. There will not be a generational turnaround until each generation takes accountability and responsibility for what has been passed on. Perfect example. My mom and dad were married 14 years before they got divorced. My dad had a problem with alcoholism that was part of the reason their marriage was broken. However, I'm not an alcoholic. My brother is not an alcoholic. My two brothers aren't an alcoholic. My sister isn't an alcoholic. So some of the things that we try to blame on generation, each generation has a choice. Each person that makes up a generation has a choice. No matter what your parents were, no matter what they were responsible for bringing you life. That's it. If they didn't do anything else right, you have a choice there, because there is an age of accountability. So I can't blame on my 50s what happened in my 20s. You have to make a conscious choice to be healed, to be whole, to be free of whatever has happened in your life that may have not gone right. Trauma is what happened to us. It it's not who we are. Everybody has experienced some type of trauma. It's not who we are. It's just a part of your story. You have to make the decision that you're going to overcome and make a difference in your generation, regardless of what happened to you, regardless of the cards you were dealt. That's not the end of your story. It's
So
just a part
Tracy,
of it.
that's right, Trailer.
Hmm.
Tracy, I'm looking at your face. You gotta jump in on this. I know you got something to tell, Trailer.
Well, I both agree and disagree. I do agree that we have to be accountable and that we cannot blame. We have a choice. Okay. And blame never helped it. I don't know about y'all, but I know blame never helped anyone. Okay. It
Mhm.
doesn't solve any issues. I guess the part that I agree with is that there is a place where there should be accountability, right? However, what the part, and I don't think you said this, but this is just what was going through my head at the time, so it has nothing to do necessarily with your response, because I think your point on, you're right on with that. But what happens is, just like, I'm going to use myself for an example. If I know that I'm looking at my children and something is going on in their lives that I know that I was a part of getting them to that point, whatever it is, whether good or bad, I think my part in that is to help them, first of all, do what I think both of us did, was allow them to express that, but then help them to find ways to overcome it. I think the problem that we have is that instead of giving solutions to issues or recommendations, suggestions, and steps, we just simply blame. Look at him over there. Look at him over there. Don't have no respect for himself. Well, did you go over there and say anything to him? Did you, do you know, did you try to help rectify the problem, or are you just talking about the problem? So that's the part that I am saying, that we have to not only know. I don't think, if all I hear is, mama, you didn't do this, or I'm saying my mama didn't do this, or my grandmother didn't do this, or whatever. I do have a choice. I'm an adult now. Whatever decision that I make right now, it has absolutely nothing to do with what happened with my grandmother, my grandfather, my mama, my daddy.
Absolutely.
And not to say anything, because I had great grandparents. But I'm just saying that we have to look at it from both. What I'm saying in a nutshell, Ms. Judy, is that we have to look at it from both perspectives, and neither party needs to blame anybody. We need to be coming up with solutions to the problem. So,
Exactly. That's
Absolutely.
exactly. And that's what we are going to go forward with. We're
Right.
going to listen, and then whichever one of us have experienced that, whatever that problem is, or that person is going through, rather, whatever that person has going through, whether it's mental health, whether it's with a mother and a daughter who don't realize that they are a Jew and they need some encouragement from Tracy, whether it's a young man or a young woman who realize that there's something wrong. They can't
Right.
put their finger on it, and they need to talk to Trellis because she's got daughters. She's got
Mhm.
grown daughters now, and she had a method as to how she kept them out of um, some wrongdoing that they could have
Right.
easily been led to, but she could tell that mother, look, this is what worked for me, and it worked exceptionally well because my daughters are this and this and that. So
Right.
that's what we going with.
Right. And see, here's the
absolutely.
thing, that it's where we miss it. No, we don't place blame. We don't. We should not do that. Here's where the disconnect is. Because we can put the action steps, you can go over and talk, and speak life and speak power and tell them how to get out. If there is no
Mhm.
action followed by that, if no action steps are
Yep.
put in place, nothing's going to happen. So I can
That's right.
set you up for success, to take the steps to get to where you want to be. But if you don't take the
Hmm.
steps, nothing's going to happen. And so again, whether or not you solve that in your home, in your immediate family or not, If you didn't, and you get the resources to make a generational turnaround, and you still decide to do nothing, then it's a mute point.
Yes.
And so we
That's
can't keep saying, oh, okay, well, we can't blame them. We can't blame them. We got to give them the steps. We got to give them the talks. But what's after that? If they do nothing, the talk was just a talk.
Amen.
So,
That's
in
exactly
other
right. And
words,
we know that that's just like, go ahead, I'm sorry.
in other words, you know, a chemistry test is coming up, and the teacher gives you the study guide. She basically tells you what's going to be on the question on the test. She can't make you study.
That's right.
It's that simple. So
Amen.
we got to stop saying, oh, okay, what are we doing about it? Yes, we're doing something about it. We're having this summit. We're having this podcast. But if you take nothing from it and decide not to do anything with it, you're still going to be next year trying to turn around because you didn't decide to make a decision
Absolutely.
to turn around. Period. So we don't need to go over and over the steps that are in place. We don't need to go over and over the talk that was had. So because you hear from me and you're going to hear from 16 other speakers. And if you decide not to do anything with it, you're not going to turn around. It's that simple.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? One of the things that, and it just kind of made me think, it's not really a digression, but I think about, I oftentimes, Miss Judy, think about the audience that we will have at the summit. My prayer, the fasting and praying, is that the people who need to hear it will come and hear it. Because a lot of times the people who are there are not necessarily the ones, they're the ones that yearn and feed and take the steps and move forward. Our prayer should be as a whole, as a corporate prayer, that we're able to bring people along who would not normally come, who can hear it. And as you said, once they've got it, then it's up to them what to do with it. That's an internal thing, because
Absolutely.
I can hear stuff all day long. You can hear it. We're talking right now. There are things that are being said that I can hear. I got 100% of my hearing. So I'm hearing it. But unless it hits a spark or something that's in me that makes me want to change, it's not going to even make it to my brain. But let's just say it is something that I'm listening to and I'm like, But see, that thing got to get all the way down in your heart. And until it gets down on the inside of them internally, there will be no change. So our goal is just like like the word says, is to plant the seeds. We have to understand that we are here. I know for me, purpose is to plant seeds. We're in the wrong as communities, as generations, if we don't plant seeds. But we are not responsible for you taking those seeds and putting some water on it and make it grow. When you accept and come into the body of Christ, some places go through new member classes and all these different things for you to learn the basics or whatever. But what you do beyond that, again, that's on you. Not to say that our generations, young people and older people, don't need nurturing, but they've got to make the first step. And that is what, for me, that is what my prayer is that we do have those individuals who come, and actually those are the ones who really need what it is, because you're going to have people there and they're going to take the information and run with it. But for a true generational turnaround, we have to have the individuals there at the summit who need to hear this word, who need to hear from these 17 people on the platform. Everything may not be for everybody, but something is for somebody.
That's it. And that's what we're going to have there. That's what we're going to have. Yeah, I'm going to take a minute and show how to purchase a ticket to the Generational Turnaround Summit, the GT Summit. For 1 second, let's see if I can get this on here to show people. All right, all right. And at the end of this show, you'll be able to go back in and see exactly how to get your ticket and get it now. We
Absolutely.
look, I hope that we so many tickets are sold that we need a bigger venue. I'm just putting that out there.
Amen.
You
It
know?
is so.
Okay. So
Amen.
I don't want to take too much time. Okay, ladies, the way that I feel about these young people, and y'all know I'm over there at TikTok, and my heart is my heart is receptive to what they say. And when I hear I have anxiety, I have depression, that trailer, that they come to me because they want prayer. They
Mhm.
want to go take it to God. They want to go beyond the this world. They,
Absolutely.
they know that it's what's bothering them is deeper
Right.
than the surfaces. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let you have that one.
Well, it is. It is. It's a mindset. It's again knowing who you are, knowing that you were created kingdom and queendom. But I want to go back to when we my prayer for this summit is that there's a mindset shift.
Mm,
Yes, prayer, everything starts in the spirit first. Let me be clear. Everything starts in the spirit first.
absolutely.
But you have to
Amen.
do what is required in the natural. Period. There's
Absolutely.
no getting around that.
Absolutely.
Because, yes, you have to pray and pray without ceasing. Pray for deliverance. Pray for God to
Mm,
connect you with those people that will help you get to the place that you want to be. Pray for God to send you the right psychologist, the right therapist, what support groups, whatever it may be. But you have to do the work as well. And so
right.
we can talk all day. You're receptive to what they're saying. Yes, ma'am, we are. However, as each one of us brings the message of life and power, if their heart is not receptive, nothing is going to
That's
change.
right.
Nothing.
Absolutely.
And so, again, it starts with the decision because the word of God says in Proverbs 4:23, that's why we're supposed to guard our hearts. We're supposed to guard our minds. We're supposed to guard our ears. We're supposed to
Mhm.
guard our eyes because out of it flow the issues of life. And so we can plant the
Yes.
seed all we want. But the Bible talks about four kind of ground: a hard ground,
Mm-hmm.
a stony ground, a good ground.
Mm-hmm.
And if the heart with the ground represents the heart, and if the heart can't be
Amen.
penetrated, because he said, harden not your heart, make it soft as flesh. That means that you're guarded, that nothing can get in and nothing can get out. So we can plant the seed and we can water the seed, but if it before it can be watered, it has to be received. Before it can be
Mm-hmm.
increased, it has to be received. And so if they're not in the receiving mode, nothing's going to happen. And so my prayer is to allow the Lord to open their heart to receive and then put in place and grab a hold of all the resources that will be available because my intention is to make connection after the summit. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years
Yeah.
later, I see the generational turnaround. They're still able to get in contact with me. I'm still able to speak life and power, and not to them only, but to generations,
That's
to
right.
the group that they're in, and so on and so on and so on. That is my
Mhm.
prayer, that their
That's
heart
what
is
the
receptive
generation, yeah, that's what the
to affect the
generational thing
generation.
is
Yes.
all about. We want generations. We don't
Right.
want to stop with the person that we're
I,
speaking to.
I
We
don't
want
want
to
to
move
stop there,
on.
but I want a generational turnaround that's going to affect their family, their neighbors when they go back to their communities or
Mhm.
subdivisions or apartment complexes, and it carry on. It's not going to just stop there. But
Amen.
again, it starts with each person's heart that desires a generational turnaround for themselves to be the difference maker in their family and abroad, that their heart is open to receiving what God has for them. That's where it starts.
Mm,
Okay. Well,
amen.
look, Tracy, I'm going to ask you to speak on your jewels and the women and the girls that you're going to be talking to in Gulfport with the GT Summit.
Mhm. Well, one of the key things for me is, as I've alluded to this evening, is wellness. You can't change until you begin the process of being well. And so some of the key things, there are, and I'm praying for God to give me the words to say, but I'm talking about being well and what it takes to be well. As Trella said earlier, it's got to be steps. You've got to have a mindset shift. I was asking a friend of mine, because we're our numbers are getting, we're moving up in the numbers, as far as the platform is concerned. And one of my things was, well, why aren't we moving a little faster? And that person said, it's funny that she said that, is that it takes someone who has a growth mindset, who wants to move forward, who's tired of being tired, who's tired of being sick and tired. And so my first thing is, we say in the world of education, Jim Collins, good to great, you have to first face the brutal facts. This is where you are. This is your context. It's not a put down. It's not whatever. It's just facts. And it's not for me to face your facts. It's for you to face your facts. I'm here to help you to get to the point where you're brave enough to face those facts. And then when we do that, we're not staying there. Now we've got to move on to the next step. And as you well know, Ms. Judy, my first step is the spiritual wellness. Now, I'm not telling you who to serve. I know who I serve, but I'm not telling you who to serve. But you do have to have spirit. You have to be spiritually well. You have to believe that there is something higher than you. And moving on from that, then we begin to kind of look at those other wellnesses that fall under there. And different people, I want them to identify where, because some people are well in some areas and not well in others. Some people had a really happy childhood, but they had a parent that spent a whole lot of money all the time. So they were always in debt. They always had what they wanted. They had the best shoes, the best clothes, and everything. They were happy, but their parents were always in debt. And so that has translated over to them, that we spend money all the time on material things with money we don't have. So now we're not financially well. You talked about the depression and the anxiety and all those things that our young women are going through. Some of them are going through domestic situations because they've seen that. That means they're not well. So we have to talk about your worth. You are a jewel, a precious jewel. And we have to recognize that. And until you realize, when some people say, you think you better than me, I sure do. And it has nothing to do with the other individual. Yes, I do think I'm better than you. And you should think you're better than me. It's not, I know we used to say that's like, you don't do that. You don't, it's not meant to be in that way. But if you don't think highly of yourself, how do you expect anybody else to think highly of you? And I don't mean in a sarcastic, like I said, in a sarcastic way, or what they say, a conceited way, snobby. That's not what I mean. But you are a jewel. You're a precious jewel. So my goal is to help them to see that you are a jewel. And when you get to that level, when you're working towards, just like sanctification, We don't reach that full, the highest level of sanctification until we leave this place. And when we leave this place, then we enter into glorification. So we're working toward that, but there's got to be some movement. It can't be what Charles was saying earlier. You can't stand still and sit back and say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. I never get over this. It just, she did it. She made me do it. We got to get past that. It's about you and nobody else. So,
Damn. What do you call it? You have got to implement, got to implement. And right now, for us, I mean, we are all who we are because of what we decided to do.
Absolutely.
oh, I
Because
talked
if
about that this
not,
past Sunday.
look, I mean, I'm okay, y'all. I'm
Yeah.
67. Y'all know I grew up in the 60s and 50s
Yes.
when you didn't have exactly a say so all the time.
Hmm.
The kids say we were scared. Ooh, if I would have been growing up back then, I would have been dead because I wouldn't have took this, that, and that. Well, that's why you are not. You
Right.
you weren't chosen to be back in those days, but
That's
we.
right.
So that's why you are because we were the
Absolutely.
ones that were chosen for that for such a time as that.
Yes.
This, that, yes,
And,
indeed.
and here's the
Yeah.
thing, as my mentors say, no matter what generation you're from, you will never change what you decide not to confront.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because even my mom was a maid, a cook. She was, but she was so smart. She was the psychiatrist that took care of the whole house, the big house, the mansion. That's, yeah, they depended on her. If something was going wrong in the house, they came to her. She may have had certain titles that were not attractive to most, they lower, but what she did and made happen in that time, they could not have paid her enough money to supplement what she gave to the family.
Absolutely.
And so
And
I said all that to say, then I came along. Me, I looked at it like, why are you look? Why you're so smart? But I understand. See, it's God who makes the decision and puts us in a place for a time to to turn around what's
Hmm.
going on so that we can furthermore make a generational turnaround for the next generation. And that's what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. And what I
amen.
love about the women, if you just go back, if if the younger generation and even our generation, if they go back, because I mentor, as you know, Miss Judy, women and young girls and little girls of all ages.
Mhm.
That is my passion,
Mhm.
because I recognize that I'm queenly and qualified, powerful and peculiar. I wrote a book
Ooh,
about it, and so as I saw my older aunties and my grandmother and my mom and aunties work, they never lost their self-respect.
No.
They worked with dignity. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. But they
my
knew
God.
their self worth, they knew their
Mhm.
value, they respected themselves, as women, married women, single. I had cousins that are in their 60s that are single. Our parents taught us to respect ourselves.
That's right.
They
That's
taught
right.
us that presentation is everything. Don't go out looking any kind of way. Don't go out looking trashy, so to speak.
Mhm.
Whatever that
That's
is.
right.
They were close. If you go look at how the women in the 30s and 40s and 50s
Mhm.
and 60s and 70s after marches,
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
they wore gloves and heels. They were marching in heels and
That's
gloves
right.
and
Yes.
with purses and all of that
That's
because
right.
they respected themselves
Dignified.
as young women and men, even the young men. You would not see a man without a suit and a tie. And so
Hmm.
somewhere along the generational gap or whatever happened, there was a sense of self lost respect for self. And that's where it begins, with
Yeah.
respect and value for yourself. That is what helps turn a generation around, because you're finding out who you are. And even if you don't know, you have women and men around you that help you discover who you are. When the artists, it made me think
Amen.
about the Motown history. They had etiquette classes. They were taught how to walk. They were taught how to speak. They were taught how to carry themselves with dignity and respect and class. Along the way, we've lost that. So even if I'm going to
Mm.
the 7-Eleven store, I'm going to be casually cute. I'm going to look like I am somebody. And that my mom raised
Amen.
a woman of not only a God fearing woman, but a woman of elegance and class, because you can't buy that.
Dignity.
You can't buy that.
Mm.
You can't.
And so
Y'all,
My
we
God.
got to get the
that-
generational back.
y'all, are we running out of time? So I need Tracy to let them know how to get in touch with you. Let them know that you're going to be at the GT Summit.
I am gonna be at the GT Summit, and I am so excited about it. There are several ways that you can get in contact with me. Um, I am so excited, Miss Judy, because May 15th I am launching our brand new You Are a Jewel webpage. So that's one way you're able to get in contact.
Yay.
So I'll have that information. I'm so excited about it.
Woo.
Secondly, we've had a platform. It is a private platform, but if you are a friend of mine on Facebook, I'm getting ready to go through in a minute and send some links out for individuals to join the page. But you'll be a friend of mine, and then I give you an opportunity. Or if there is a jewel already on the page, that's one thing about it. All of our jewels are important, and so they can invite people whom they think will benefit from the platform. So we have a Facebook platform, and we are working on several things, and I do in person. If I'm having a leadership academy. So if anybody out there that's listening from the Mississippi Delta area, we have a leadership academy for students. It is for fifth graders going into sixth grade, and we're talking about aspiring leaders of the Delta. And so we're only taking 35 students. That's going to be May 31st. So they can get in contact with me in that way. And my number, 228-313-9858. Miss Judy, you're welcome to put that out there. My number's public now. So, you can put that out there. And my email, tmeteach2019@gmail.com. Any of those ways. You can also contact at urjewel.com as well. And that will go straight to the UR Jewel page. So, and then
All
if not,
right,
I'll see you at the GT.
see, this is, look, y'all are finding this out even before the summit. Tell them how to get you, Trailer.
Well, I am on all social media platforms: Facebook, Trellis Thomas; IG, Trellis Equinet; LinkedIn. My email is Trellis Equinet, ANQUNETT @gmail.com. Dr. Tracy, I would love to partner with you on your platform and speak to the jewels
Yeah.
there, because I believe this is a kingdom
Yes.
connection. Nothing happens by coincidence or
No.
accident. Everything is strategically orchestrated by the hand of God. And that is my passion, in case you couldn't tell, to speak
Yes, I
life and
can. Look,
power.
I was listening.
So I knew we were going to connect. But
Look at the
Sis, you need to go
connection.
ahead and
yeah,
write February 21st and 22nd down. Our women's conference is February 21st, 22nd, 2025. And I'm gonna send you an invite because I love to have you on the platform there. So
absolutely, absolutely, because it is our responsibility. It is our service to help everyone discover their kingdom identities and point them to Jesus. Because we
yeah.
got a mark to make as women. We have to be the agent of change for our families.
Yes.
And we have to partner with our kingdom men, brothers, uncles, husbands, fiance, to be the difference, to turn
Amen.
this generation and the ones to come around. It's
And
it's
Amen.
it's a mandate. It's a
I'm gonna,
mandate.
you're right. And I'm gonna tell you, I am now a nonprofit generational
Yeah.
turnaround corporation is now a nonprofit. And
Woohoo!
my mission is to help my brothers to, when they get out, these young single fathers, to help them to reassess their lives and to get back the relationship with their children.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Mothers have a lot of groups that help them, but there's a lot of fathers who made mistakes and they want to get back their children. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what this this is what my nonprofit will be doing.
And I love that,
Mhm.
Miss Judy. And because we have to, as women, we have to encourage our brothers, our
Yes,
our cousins that are male, our friends
Yeah.
that we know that are men. We
yes,
have to encourage, empower, and ignite them to take their
Yeah.
rightful place in our families.
amen.
Amen.
Families work here before the church work. Our men,
Yes,
our black
Yes.
men, let me be clear.
yes.
Our
Mm-hmm.
black men have
Mm-hmm.
to take their rightful place
Praise.
in our families,
Yes.
in our communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
Absolutely.
if there's okay, what's your again the name of your nonprofit, Tracy?
You are a jewel organization.
Okay. And Trellis, do you have a nonprofit? But
I am working on that right now.
okay, but you have a corporate LLC, right?
Yes, Queens, Queens Crowns and Conversations, and Crown Coaching LLC.
If look, we are all looking for sponsors for these fantastic organizations because we want to make a difference in our corporation. These corporations are definitely God centered. Everything about it begins with God. And
Amen.
that's for me, it's my mandate.
Amen. Can I say something real quick, Miss Judy?
Yes, yes,
I want to mention that. And I didn't say this, but there is a contact information for donations for our scholarship as well. It's donations at youarejewel.com. Just contact me there. And we have a PayPal link. You can send it through there. But we have given away scholarships for the past 2 years. This is year number 3. I'm at a hotel because I have an LLC as well. So I do contract work. So I've got a stack of scholarship applications over there I'm going through right now. We give a $500 scholarship for academics each year to a child that's attending a 2 or 4 year institution. And this year, I am so excited. We have implemented a $500 scholarship for children entering technical programs. So, because
All
everybody's not meant to go to a 4-year university or don't want to.
right.
So we're giving one for academics for them entering the traditional route, and one for that are entering that technical route. And I'm so excited. I was actually planning last night for the brunches for those scholarships. So if you want to donate to that scholarship fund, all of those funds, they're separate for scholarship, but it's donations at urjewel.com. So
Right, all right, all right. I pray that today was better than yesterday, but it's not as good as tomorrow. I pray that tomorrow will bring forth a blessing in the form of opportunities for all of these nonprofits and corporations that you
amen.
never saw coming. Thank
Hallelujah.
you, everyone.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Trellis. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Thank everybody out there. See you Saturday when I'm going to have a new speaker. This is a new speaker who has never been here. So get ready, get ready, get ready. All right.
Oh.
I love
Good night, you guys. Miss Thomas, I'm getting ready. I need to get that information because we need to get together.